Nathan Pierce stood in the hallway of St. Grace Children's Hospital, staring at his phone while the world moved around him. Nurses rushed past with clipboards. Parents whispered prayers in the waiting area. Children laughed despite their pain, but Nathan noticed none of it. His eyes were fixed on stock reports and quarterly projections, the only language he truly understood. His daughter Lily sat in a wheelchair beside him, her small hands folded in her lap. She had stopped asking questions months ago, stopped pointing at the colorful murals on the walls, stopped being a child. The accident that took her mother had also stolen something vital from her spirit, and Nathan had no idea how to give it back. "Mr. Pierce, the doctor will see you now," a receptionist announced. Nathan barely looked up. He wheeled Lily down the corridor, one hand on the chair, the other still clutching his phone. They were there for her monthly checkup, a routine he had turned into a mechanical task. Sign in, wait, meet with the doctor, leave. No emotion required. But when they entered the pediatric ward, something unexpected happened. A woman was sitting on the floor with 3 children, building a tower out of foam blocks. She wore simple blue scrubs and had her dark hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. Her laughter echoed through the hallway, genuine and warm. "Higher. Higher!" one little boy shouted. "If we go any higher, it will touch the clouds," the woman replied, her voice full of wonder. Lily's wheelchair stopped moving. Nathan felt the resistance and glanced down at his daughter. For the first time in months, Lily was staring at something with interest. Her gray eyes, so much like her mother's, were fixed on the woman and the children. The tower collapsed, sending foam blocks everywhere. The children squealed with delight. The woman threw her hands up dramatically. "Oh no, the earthquake got us," she cried, making the children laugh harder. Then she noticed Lily watching from the doorway. Without hesitation, she stood and walked over, kneeling down to Lily's eye level. "Hello there," she said softly. "Would you like to help us build a new tower? We could use an architect." Nathan opened his mouth to decline, but Lily spoke first. "I cannot walk," she whispered. The woman smiled, and it reached her eyes. "Towers do not need walking. They need imagination. And I think you have plenty of that." She gently wheeled Lily closer to the play area. Nathan wanted to object, to pull his daughter away from this stranger, but something stopped him. Maybe it was the way Lily's posture changed, straightening slightly. Maybe it was the small smile that appeared on her face. "I am Rose," the woman said, placing a foam block in Lily's hand. "What is your name?" "Lily," his daughter replied, "like the flower. Beautiful and strong." Nathan watched from the doorway as Rose guided Lily through building a new tower. She never rushed her, never showed impatience when Lily's hands shook. She simply waited, encouraged, and celebrated every small success. The other children welcomed Lily into their game without question, and soon the hallway was filled with laughter again. A nurse approached Nathan. "That is Rose Campbell. She volunteers here twice a week. The children adore her." "She is not a doctor?" Nathan asked. "No, just someone with a kind heart. She works at a community clinic downtown, but she comes here on her days off." Nathan processed this information with suspicion. Nobody volunteered their time without wanting something in return. Nobody was genuinely kind without an agenda. His world had taught him that lesson over and over. After the checkup, Nathan found Rose still sitting with Lily. His daughter was drawing a picture with crayons, something she had not done since the accident. Rose sat beside her, offering colors and asking questions about the drawing. "We need to go," Nathan said, his voice harder than he intended. Rose looked up, and for a moment their eyes met. Hers were brown, warm, and completely unafraid of his cold stare. "Of course," she said gently. She turned to Lily. "Will you come back next month?" Lily nodded eagerly. "Can I show you my drawing then?" "I would love that." As Nathan wheeled Lily toward the elevator, his daughter clutched the drawing to her chest. In the parking garage, he helped her into the car, and she spoke for the first time during a ride home in months. "Rose did not look at me like I am broken, Father." The words hit Nathan like a punch. He realized with shame that he had been looking at his daughter that way for 8 months. Like she was a problem to be managed, not a child to be loved. That evening, Nathan sat in his penthouse office, unable to focus on work. He kept thinking about the woman on the hospital floor, the way she had treated Lily with such natural kindness. It bothered him that a stranger could reach his daughter when he could not. 3 days later, his assistant brought him a tablet. "Sir, you need to see this." On the screen was a video going viral across social media. Someone at the hospital had filmed the moment Rose sat with Lily, helping her build the tower. The caption read, "Volunteer nurse shows billionaire's daughter more love in 5 minutes than her father has in months." The comments were brutal. People called Nathan heartless, distant, and neglectful. They praised Rose as an angel. They demanded he spend more time with his child. The video had millions of views. Nathan felt anger rise in his chest, not at Rose, but at himself, because deep down he knew they were right. He had become so consumed by building his empire that he had forgotten to be a father. His daughter was disappearing right in front of him, and he had been too blind to see it. That night, he made a decision. He would find Rose Campbell and ask her to help Lily, not for his reputation, not to silence the critics, but because his daughter had smiled for the first time in months. And if a stranger could give her that, then maybe she could teach him how to be the father Lily deserved. The next morning, Nathan drove back to St. Grace Hospital. He waited in the lobby until Rose arrived for her volunteer shift. When she saw him, she looked surprised but not uncomfortable. "Mr. Pierce?" she said calmly. "I need to hire you," Nathan said bluntly, "as a private caregiver for Lily. Name your price." Rose studied him for a long moment. "I am not for sale, Mr. Pierce. Your daughter does not need someone you can buy. She needs someone who cares." "Then care for her," Nathan replied, his voice rough with something that might have been desperation. "Please," Rose considered this. "I will spend time with Lily, but not because you are paying me. Because she deserves kindness. And there will be rules. No cameras, no publicity, and you have to be present. She needs her father, not just a caregiver." Nathan wanted to argue, but he found himself nodding instead. Agreed. As Rose walked away to start her shift, Nathan realized he had just made a deal he could not control. And somehow, that terrified him more than any business negotiation ever had. Rose Campbell arrived at the Pierce residence on a Tuesday morning, carrying nothing but a small backpack and a jar of homemade cookies. The mansion loomed before her like a glass fortress, all sharp angles and cold perfection. She had grown, up in a cramped apartment where love filled the spaces that money could not, and this place felt like the opposite, beautiful but empty. A stern-faced housekeeper named Margaret opened the door. "Mr. Pierce is in a meeting. He said to take you to the child's room." The way she said "the child," instead of using Lily's name, told Rose everything about how this household operated. Lily's bedroom was enormous, filled with expensive toys still in their packages and educational equipment that looked untouched. The little girl sat by the window in her wheelchair, staring at the garden below. She wore a pressed white dress that seemed too formal for a 6-year-old. "Hello, Lily," Rose said softly, setting her backpack down. Lily turned, and her face transformed. "Rose, you came." "I promised I would." Rose knelt beside the wheelchair. "I brought something. My grandmother's chocolate chip cookies. She always said cookies taste better when you make them with people you care about." They spent the morning eating cookies and talking. Rose learned that Lily loved butterflies, but had never held one. She loved music, but had not heard her father sing in years. She loved stories, but had nobody to read them with her anymore. "Father is always busy," Lily explained without sadness, as if she had accepted this as fact. "He says important men have important work." Rose felt her heart ache. "Do you know what I think is important? This moment, right here. You and me sharing. Cookies. That is the most important work in the world." Lily looked at her with wide eyes. "Really?" "Really." That afternoon, Nathan returned home earlier than usual. He found them in the garden, where Rose had somehow convinced the groundskeeper to let them plant sunflower seeds. Lily's hands were covered in dirt, and she was laughing as Rose showed her how to pat the soil gently. "What are you doing?" Nathan asked, his tone sharp with surprise. Rose looked up calmly. Planting hope. Sunflowers grow tall and strong, just like Lily will. Nathan wanted to argue that his daughter might never walk again, that hope was a dangerous thing to offer. But he saw the joy on Lily's face and kept silent. Over the following weeks, Rose became a constant presence in their lives. She arrived, each morning with a new adventure planned. They made art from leaves, learned about clouds, and created treasure hunts around the mansion. Lily began speaking more, laughing more, dreaming more. Nathan watched from doorways and windows, unable to join but unable to look away. He saw his daughter becoming whole again, and it filled him with gratitude and shame in equal measure. One evening, Rose was reading Lily a bedtime story when Nathan appeared in the doorway. "May I listen?" he asked quietly. Rose glanced at Lily, who nodded. Nathan sat in the chair across from them, feeling awkward in his own home. Rose's voice washed over them, bringing the story to life with different voices and dramatic pauses. When she finished, Lily was smiling sleepily. "Father, did you like the story?" Lily asked. Nathan swallowed hard. "I did, very much." After Lily fell asleep, Rose found Nathan standing on the balcony, staring at the city lights. She joined him silently. "Thank you," he said finally, "for giving her something I could not." "You could give it to her," Rose replied gently. "You just forgot." "How?" "My wife knew how. I built companies. She built our home. When she died, I did not know how to do both." Rose heard the pain beneath his words. "Lily does not need perfection. She needs presence. Even 5 minutes of your full attention means more than all of this." She gestured at the mansion. Nathan looked at her, really looked at her, for the first time. She was not intimidated by his wealth or his reputation. She saw through all of it to the broken man underneath. "Why do you do this?" he asked. "Volunteer at hospitals, help strangers, care for a child who is not yours?" Rose was quiet for a moment. "Because someone once did it for me. When I was 12, my brother got sick, very sick. We had no money for treatment, a nurse at the free. Clinic spent hours with him, reading stories, playing games, making him feel like a person instead of a patient. She could not save him, but she gave him dignity. After he died, I promised I would do the same for others." Nathan felt something crack inside his chest. "I am sorry. Life gives us pain so we can learn compassion. Your pain made you build walls. Mine made me build bridges. Neither way is wrong, but only one lets people in." Her words stayed with him long after she left that night. Nathan began making small changes. He started coming home for dinner. He asked Lily about her day and actually listened to the answers. He joined their afternoon activities even when they made him uncomfortable. Rose noticed but said nothing, simply making space for him to be a father again. One Saturday, Rose did not arrive at her usual time. Nathan called her phone repeatedly, but she did not answer. By noon, he was worried. By evening, he was frantic. Lily kept asking where Rose was, and he had no answer. Finally, Margaret handed him a note that had been delivered. "A young man brought this an hour ago." Nathan opened it with shaking hands. The message was brief. "Rose is at Mercy General Hospital, room 304. She asked me to tell you not to worry, but thought you should know. Her friend, Thomas." Nathan arranged for Margaret to stay with Lily, then drove to the hospital faster than he should have. He found Rose in a standard room, not the private suites he was used to. She was connected to an IV, her face pale but calm. "What happened?" he demanded, fear making his voice harsh. Rose smiled weakly. "Hello to you too. I am fine. Just a small complication from an old condition. I will be out tomorrow." "What condition?" She hesitated, then sighed. "I have a genetic kidney disorder. The same thing that took my brother." I manage it with medication and regular checkups, but sometimes it flares up. Nathan felt the world tilt. How long have you known? Since I was 15. They gave me 10 years. That was 13 years ago. She said it so matter-of-factly as if discussing the weather. You are dying and you spend your time volunteering, helping other people's children? I am living, Rose corrected gently. There is a difference. Every day I get is a gift. Why would I waste it being afraid? Nathan sank into the chair beside her bed. Lily cannot lose another person she loves. Then, we make every moment count. That is all any of us can do. He looked at this woman who had walked into his life and turned everything upside down. She was facing death with more grace than he faced quarterly reports. She had nothing but gave everything. She was everything he was not. Let me help you, Nathan said suddenly. The best doctors, experimental treatments, anything you need. Rose shook her head. I appreciate the offer, but I have made peace with my path. Some things money cannot fix, but it could buy you time. Time is not the same as life, Nathan. It was the first time she had used his first name. I would rather have 1 real year than 10 empty ones. He wanted to argue, to throw money and resources at the problem until it disappeared. But he was learning that not everything could be controlled. When he returned home that night, Lily was waiting up despite Margaret's protests. Is Rose okay? She asked, her eyes filled with tears. Nathan knelt beside her wheelchair, something he had not done since her mother's funeral. She will be home tomorrow. But Lily, I need to tell you something. Rose is sick. Not like a cold, but something more serious. She might not be with us forever. Lily's lip trembled. Like Mother? Yes, like Mother. But Rose wants to spend her time making us happy. Can we do that for her? Can we make sure every day with her is special? Lily nodded, wiping her eyes. We can plant more flowers. Flowers make people happy. Nathan pulled his daughter into his arms, holding her tight. You are so much braver than I am. That night, Nathan made a decision. He could not save Rose, but he could make sure she knew she mattered, that her life had meaning, that she had changed them forever. The next morning, when Rose returned, she found the mansion transformed. Nathan and Lily had hung drawings throughout the house, everyone a picture Lily had made during Rose's visits. In the garden, a small bench had been installed with a plaque that read, For Rose, who taught us to bloom. Rose stood in the garden, tears streaming down her face, while Nathan and Lily watched nervously. Do you like it? Lily asked. Rose knelt down and hugged her tight. I love it. I love both of you. Nathan felt something he had not felt in years. Hope mixed with fear, joy tangled with sorrow. He was learning that love meant risking pain. But, watching Rose and Lily together, he knew the risk was worth it, because Rose had given them something more precious than time. She had given them back their ability to feel. The autumn air carried the scent of dying leaves and new beginnings as Rose sat in the Pierce garden, watching Lily practice standing with her physical therapist. 3 months had passed since that day in the hospital, and something profound had shifted in the mansion that once felt like a tomb. Laughter echoed through hallways, meals were shared, life had returned. But Rose felt the weight of time pressing against her chest. Her medication dosages had increased twice. The fatigue came more often now, stealing hours from her days. She hid it well, smiling through the pain. But Nathan had started noticing the way she gripped the chair when she thought nobody was watching. Again, Lily. You can do it, the therapist encouraged. Lily's legs trembled as she held on to the parallel. Bars. Her face scrunched with concentration. And then, for 3 beautiful seconds, she stood without support. Rose jumped to her feet, applauding wildly. "You did it! Lily, you did it!" Lily collapsed back into her wheelchair, exhausted but beaming. "Did you see, Rose? Did Father see?" Nathan emerged from the house at that exact moment, his tie loosened, his usual armor slightly cracked. "I saw everything, Princess. I am so proud of you." He had started calling her Princess again, a name he had not used since her mother died. Rose watched father and daughter embrace and felt her heart swell with bittersweet joy. She had done what she came to do. She had helped them find each other again. That evening, after Lily fell asleep, Nathan found Rose packing her medical supplies in the guest room she had been using. "What are you doing?" he asked, though his voice suggested he already knew. "It is time for me to step back," Rose said gently. "Lily is getting stronger. You two have found your rhythm. You do not need me anymore." "That is not true." Nathan's voice was rough. "We need you. I need you." Rose turned to face him, her eyes shining with unshed tears. "Nathan, I have been living on borrowed time for years. The doctors gave me another evaluation last week. The disease is progressing faster than expected. I have maybe 6 months, possibly less." The words hung in the air like shattered glass. Nathan stood frozen, his face draining of color. "No, there has to be something we can do. More treatments, better doctors, experimental procedures. I have tried everything." Rose stepped closer, placing her hand on his arm. "Some battles cannot be won with money or willpower, but this is not a sad story, Nathan. I got to meet you. I got to know Lily. I got to matter to someone before I left. That is more than many people ever receive." Nathan pulled her into his arms, holding her with a desperation he had not felt since his wife's last day. "You matter more than you know. You walked into our lives and reminded us what it means to be human. How can I just let you go?" "You do not let me go. You let me live fully for whatever time remains. No sadness, no pity, just life." He pulled back to look at her face, really seeing her for the first time. Not as Lily's caregiver or a kind volunteer, but as a woman who had given them everything while asking for nothing. "I am in love with you," he said, the words escaping before he could stop them. "I did not plan it, did not want it, but somewhere between the cookies and the sunflowers and your ridiculous optimism, I fell completely in love with you." Rose's breath caught. "Nathan, I cannot give you forever." "Then give me now. Give me today and tomorrow and however many days we have. Let me love you the way you deserve to be loved." Tears spilled down Rose's cheeks. "I am scared. Scared of leaving. You both. Scared of causing more pain. Pain means we lived. Pain means we loved. I would rather have 6 months of real love than a lifetime of safe emptiness." He cupped her face gently. "Please, Rose, let me be brave for once." She kissed him then, soft and tentative, like a prayer and a promise combined. In that moment, the mansion that had felt so cold became a home. The next morning, they told Lily together. They sat in the garden where the sunflowers had grown tall, just as Rose promised they would. Lily listened quietly as they explained that Rose was very sick, that she might not have much time left, but that they wanted to spend every moment together as a family. "Will you be my mother?" Lily asked Rose suddenly, her small voice steady. "For however long you can?" Rose knelt beside the wheelchair, taking Lily's hands. "I would be honored. You have already been my daughter in every way that matters." "Then we should get married," Lily announced with the simple logic of childhood. "That is what families do. Mother told me before she died that Father would find someone to love again and that I should be happy for him. I am happy now, Nathan." Looked at Rose, a question in his eyes. She nodded, and he pulled out a small box from his pocket. Inside was a simple gold band with a single small diamond, nothing like the ostentatious jewelry he could afford. "I bought this last week," Nathan admitted. I was waiting for the right moment, but I am learning that the right moment is whatever moment we have." He took Rose's hand. "Rose Campbell, will you marry me? Will you let me spend whatever time we have loving you the way you taught me to love?" Rose laughed through her tears. "Yes, 1,000 times, yes." They married 3 days later in the garden, surrounded by sunflowers and a handful of people who mattered. Thomas, Rose's friend from the clinic, walked her down the aisle. Margaret cried openly. Lily served as the flower girl, standing with her walker for the entire ceremony, refusing to sit down. The following months became a master class in living. They traveled when Rose felt strong enough, taking Lily to see the ocean for the first time. They had dance parties in the living room at midnight. They made mistakes and laughed about them. They fought over silly things and apologized quickly. They were messy and imperfect and utterly real. Nathan closed several business deals from home, realizing that his empire would survive without his constant presence. He taught Lily about butterflies, finally taking her to a butterfly sanctuary, where one landed on her hand. He learned to cook terrible pancakes that Rose and Lily ate anyway, praising his effort. Rose created a journal for Lily, filling it with letters for every milestone she would miss: birthdays, graduations, first heartbreak, wedding day. She recorded videos of herself reading stories, singing songs, giving advice. She wanted to leave pieces of herself behind like breadcrumbs of love. On a cold January morning, Rose woke up too weak to get out of bed. Nathan called the hospice nurse they had been preparing with. Lily refused to go to school, insisting on staying by Rose's side. The three of them spent the day in Rose's room, which Nathan had filled with flowers. They looked at photo albums from the past 6 months. They talked about favorite memories. They said the things that needed to be said. "Thank you for teaching me how to be a father," Nathan whispered, holding Rose's hand. "You always knew how. You just forgot for a while. Promise me you will not forget again." "I promise." Lily climbed carefully into the bed, nestling against Rose's side. "Will you go to heaven with my first mother? Will you tell her I am okay?" Rose stroked Lily's hair with trembling fingers. "I will tell her you are more than okay. You are magnificent. And I will tell her that your father loves you more than all the stars in the sky. Will you watch over us? Every single day. When you see a butterfly, that will be me checking on you. When you smell sunflowers, that will be me smiling. I will never truly be gone, sweet girl." As the sun set, painting the room in shades of gold and pink, Rose's breathing became shallow. Nathan held her close while Lily held her hand. There were no machines beeping, no fluorescent lights, no cold hospital walls. Just love, warm and present and real. "I am not afraid anymore," Rose whispered. "Thank you for giving me a family. Thank you for letting me matter." "You mattered more than you will ever know," Nathan said, his voice breaking. Rose smiled one last time, looked at the two people she loved most in the world, and closed her eyes. The sun dipped below the horizon, and she slipped away as gently as she had lived, leaving behind a legacy not of years, but of transformation. The mansion fell quiet, but it was a different kind of quiet than before. Not the silence of emptiness, but the peace of love remembered. Nathan and Lily held each other and cried, letting the grief wash over them without shame. In the days that followed, they discovered Rose had left them one final gift, a letter, sealed and dated for 1 year in the future, with instructions not to open it until then. She had also donated her remaining savings to create a volunteer program at the Children's Hospital in Lily's name, ensuring other children would receive the kindness she had given so freely. 6 months later, Lily took her first unassisted steps. She walked across the garden to the bench with Rose's plaque, placed a sunflower there, and whispered, "I did it, Rose, just like you said I would." Nathan watched his daughter, now walking. now laughing, now thriving. The pain of losing Rose would never fully disappear, but neither would the joy of having known her. She had taught them that love was not measured in years but in moments, not in what you keep, but in what you give. 1 year after Rose's death, Nathan and Lily opened the letter together. Inside, in Rose's flowing handwriting, were her final words. My. Dearest Nathan and Lily, if you are reading this, it means a year has passed. I hope it has been a year filled with love and laughter, with mistakes and forgiveness, with all the beautiful messiness of living. Do not mourn me as someone who was lost too soon. Celebrate me as someone who was found just in time. Nathan, you gave me a love I never dreamed possible. Lily, you gave me the gift of being a mother. Together, you gave my life meaning. Now I ask one thing of you. Keep living. Keep loving. Keep opening your hearts to others who need kindness. My time with you was short, but it was everything, and that is the greatest gift anyone could ask for. With all my love, always and forever, Rose. Nathan folded the letter carefully and placed it in his wallet, right next to a photo of the three of them in the sunflower garden. Lily held his hand, and together they walked back into their home, carrying Rose's love with them like a light that would never go out. They had learned the hardest truth of all, that love and loss are two sides of the same coin, and the only way to avoid pain is to avoid living. Rose had chosen to live fully, love completely, and leave behind something far more valuable than time. She had left them transformed, healed, and forever changed. And in that transformation, she had given them the greatest gift of all, the courage to be human. The end.